This is a pretty small field, but not many people know how haunted most libraries are. Worked my way up to library manager. Managed 3 libraries thus far. Board of supervisors, district manager, etc. Always tell you what's up with your branch shortly after taking the job. Current branch is pretty fucked. Female employees, 90% of the workforce in the field, at my library, suffer the most. Angry noises affect one employee. Accuses her teammates of pranks, stomping around, doors slamming, men shouting, etc. while in the back room. Another female employee has been locked inside the bathroom with the lights thrown off. Sink turned on when she was in there. Heard her cry for help. A staff bathroom's on the other side of the manager's office. Door was locked and required my master key. The only key that can lock that door from the outside. And obviously, I was not responsible and would never do this. Public restrooms are a no-go for my female employees. They are opened and closed by me, and me alone. Stalls will slam in sequence. Lights will go off and on. Diaper stations spontaneously fall open. Most libraries keep a second incident report log. This is usually very private and quiet. We know these as unexplained phenomena logs. We're all usually county and local government, so staff safety still needs to be ensured. I've had to close the branch one day. County maintenance guy and myself fabricated that the power was lost to this facility. Not true. We flipped the breakers as proof for when my opener arrived. Truth is, it was a mess inside the building. Books were literally everywhere, as if someone with a grudge had broken in. Workstations and service counters, a mess of unloaded staplers, pencils broken into dozens of pieces, and our copier bulb was burnt out after running all night. Pages photocopied were off the ceiling above the copier. Last winter, in 2020, Board of Supervisors decided that operational hours needed to be extended to make up for the doors being closed during the Great Cuffing. Genius decided that the branch will open from 10 AM to 9 PM. Yes, that way we can serve the exactly 0 people wanting books at night, in the snow and the cold. No female employee closes during winter nights anymore. Our hours have changed to 6 PM extended hours. This is the reason why. Week 5 of stupid late night hours. I'm closing with, let's call her Janet. Janet is a really cool employee, never says no, is a great self-starter, and is fun to work with. She had her own encounters. She's the employee who faced phantom harassments. Approximately around 7:50 PM, a snowstorm hits the area. I offer her the ride home as to not endanger her elderly mother, as Janet does not drive. Shortly after hearing the winds and snowfall, a symphony of noises erupt from the lobby. Slamming, banging, glass shattering, and deep booming. Janet and I cease our chatting, and I get up to investigate the cause. At the glass doors to the lobby, nothing is of note. The front doors are closed and the lights are on. I enter the lobby. I've taken about 4 steps from the glass doors to the closed front doors. As the glass door slams behind me, I turn, expecting to see Janet, but she's not there. I turn back towards the front doors. The right wall with our public bulletin board begins dropping flyers one by one. The tacks still remain in place. I stare dumbfounded as the bulletin board sheds itself nude. In this lobby, there are 2 doors to the left that are the entrance to our public meeting room. The meeting room doors slam on their locks, rhythmically. Pound, pause, pound, pause, pound, pause. But stared in shock as the blackness in the room is all that could be seen through the door windows. The light in the lobby started to flicker out of sync with the pounding. At this point, I'm finished with this. I've heard things and I've seen things, but this was my first truly, wholly unexplained experience in this branch. I make a deliberate walk to the doors leading into the library, and I walk back inside. Janet is not at the customer service desk. I was unnerved by the experience from the lobby. but something about the familiarity of the library interior made her not at the desk okay. She was more than likely just shelving. Sure enough, I hear the squeaking of a book truck. After a single use, they all begin to squeak. I step into my office to check my emails once more. I finish a flyer for a children's program we were planning for the holidays. As I type, I hear squeaking of the truck. Then a pause. I'm thinking that indeed Janet is shelving in the stack somewhere. After about 10 minutes of my working, and the sounds stopping and beginning of the book truck, I decide to go back into the main library and see if Janet needs assisting in finishing. The book truck is right in front of my open office door, completely void of any library materials, placed directly in front of the open space, so that I must move it to venture forward. I move the cart and briskly make a tour through the library. I went through every shelf bay and checked our teen room. I hadn't heard Janet walk by with the book truck, nor had I heard her out on the floor. In a panic, I head for the staff break room. A sinking feeling washed over me, that potentially the noises in the lobby were a distraction from some sort of bad guys who entered the library through other means. The staff break room lights are off. I turn them on. The small room is empty. I check the back door staff entrance. It's locked. I think of the staff bathroom. I try the handle, and it's locked. I knock, and nothing. I knock harder, saying Janet's name. Nothing. I take the master key and unlock the door. Janet is on the floor of the bathroom, crying her eyes out, mascara all over her face. She looks up wide-eyed and grabs me around the waist, absolutely delirious, saying my name and how she was trapped. I bent down to comfort her, asking her what the fuck happened. I help her up and we sit at the lunch tables. She's shaking as I bring her a box of tissues. When I had gone to source out the noise, she had waited more than 15 minutes for me to return. I stated that this was impossible, but she cut me off. She had gotten up to use the bathroom. She did her business, washed her hands, but the towel dispenser didn't work. She tried a few more times, but decided to exit the bathroom and use the towels in the kitchenette. The door wouldn't budge. She tried over and over and over, but the door was locked. She began pounding on the door and yelling my name. Frantic now, she became more and more terrified of her situation. That was when the lights went out on her. She felt around quickly for the switch, but no matter how many times it went up and down, the lights would not come back on. The sound of footsteps echoed on the tile floor. She said it sounded like 3 people were in there with her. This is when she began to cry. She was just waiting and waiting for the moment something or someone would shove her, push her, or run into her. She curled up into the corner, trying to make herself as small as possible. She covered her head, but after a moment, the footsteps stopped. The sink came to life, gushing water, then turning it off. Gushing water, then off again. On the 3rd time, it began to just drip, each drop becoming louder than the last, until, as she stated, the sound began to hurt her ears. It was then I arrived, and as the lock turned over from my key, the lights came back on. I profusely apologised to Janet. However, I had been on the opposite side of the wall and heard nothing. I swore if I would have heard her, I would have been there in a second. Janet wasn't okay. All of the instances of these experiences, this had been the worst. She refused to be left alone, and 2 of us travelled around the building and stayed close. I believed her story, but the time issue was nagging me. Currently the time was now 8:20. I checked my PC clock at my workstation when I returned from the lobby and floor, but my time added up. Something about this wasn't as odd and terrifying. With only 40 minutes left of being open, we remained at the service counter, watching videos to calm Janet down, though frightened myself of what she told me. I needed to remain calm and in control, for her sake. What happened next still gives me the chills. The ceiling of the library is an enormous labyrinth of beams and crossbars, like a cathedral vaulted ceiling. The beams began to creak and moan, as if a great weight had been placed upon them. "Oh shit, it must be the snow," I stated, as I finished the last syllable of snow. I was struck on the top of my head. A DVD case had fallen from the beams. I looked up, and nothing there. Janet begins shuddering and sobbing. The creaking and moaning becomes slower, louder. I rose from my seat and beckoned her towards me. The DVD and Blu-ray stacks started to shed materials from them. In 1s, 2s, and 3s, DVD and Blu-rays fell from the shelves. "We're done. We're leaving." Quickly, we headed for the back room and grabbed our coats. Making it to my vehicle, I started the engine and drove to the entrance. I locked the doors and we left for the night. I recorded the incident and informed the county library manager of what had transpired. The building was a mess in the morning. In addition to the visual media, the children's picture books, non-fic, and half of the adult fic were completely removed from their shelving. I contacted Janet. I asked how she was doing. She was thinking of quitting. She had never felt so helpless, powerless, and worst of all, afraid. To be honest, I begged her to stay. She's a fantastic employee, and she still works for me. However, female employees do not close or stay after dark. We do not have a lock in the bathrooms now. A sign that says occupied and vacant is on the outside of the door and needs to be flipped. Obviously, employees must additionally knock. Closing shifts are for male employees only. For some reason, our unexplained phenomena are limited to slamming doors and flickering lights. This is where the public restrooms are located. The light flickering upon taking this photo this morning. As previously stated, female employees do not pass this point and either lock or unlock these bathrooms. Here's another story. These goat totems were found by the hundreds over the course of weeks throughout the library. We'd find them high up above the shelf bays, hidden behind books, squeezed in behind shelving units, under the children's globe, etc. Orchestrated by a hunting party each morning to locate as many as possible. In one day, my team employees came up with a small tub filled with maybe 80 of the cursed things. Team beginning to worry, as this is unusual and disturbing. Just more nonsense we got out of our way to ignore. We set a watch and patrol during the operation hours, keeping an eye out for anyone tall to reach high. Look for someone bending down, reaching up, moving slowly through the shelf bays. We do this every 10 minutes for weeks, and still, every morning, we find these stupid things. This continues for an exact month. We never identified anyone, especially someone frequent, who could be considered a culprit. I presented to the district manager a copy of the box filled with hundreds of goat totems. We disposed of them. With the building being strange, let's assume the insidious. One day, they just stop. We found them all and disposed of them. Being librarians, we're good at getting information. These goat totems are from a Greek beer. They should have a little red text saying on the bottom, "Celebration." Each and every totem had this scraped off. Where would someone in this rural town be importing German beer in such vast amounts, in a dry county, in a state where it's illegal to ship alcohol? Additionally, these were never placed during the day, as for a monitored fact. We'd find them in the morning. Here's another story. This is about my visit to the most extreme rural branch, located in a once beautiful mountainous part of the state. However, an enormous wildfire ruined the area about a decade ago. Most of what was captivating has not grown back, and many of the summer cabiners have never returned because of the state of the place. This branch serves less than 75 people and is 54 miles from the nearest town. Being young, lucky at times, but busting my ass and paying attention, I became the youngest library manager in my state, with only 4 years' experience and a bachelor's degree. I had some great bosses who showed me how a great library looks, runs, programs and staff. District manager is impressed with my 4 months at the current branch, begs me to do the same at this far-off rural branch the best I can, in 3 days' time. This rural branch is staffed almost entirely by a single volunteer, who's over 80. It is, however, funded and paid for by the county, as dictated by the Board of Supervisors. I agree to do my best. I'm always thirsty for the next thing to flex on my resume. I do, however, request to take on additional employees with me. It'll be hard work, and the extra hands will be needed. I take my most loyal or reliable and trusted employee. Let's call him DK. DK is a turbo autist. He's also 6'8". He would talk for hours about World of Warcraft, a game that ceased being relevant a decade ago, and a game no one has played in that time as well. I affectionately refer to his position as being Chief of Security. He never says no, craves my approval, and is a hard worker. We arrived day 1, 4 p.m. to 9 p.m. overtime, so I'm excited to be here to say the least. We reorganize the collection, clean each filthy item with wipes, make room for adult programming, throw out an entire back room worth of useless trash. However, this remote branch is quite creepy. During the day, it was built entirely upon community donations, and looks like it. Aluminium sliding doors, small, square, almost bathroom windows, 9 feet off the ground, and only 6 of them. The entire facility is no larger than most American living rooms. No restrooms. Outside, the forest fire was stopped about 20 feet before it could consume the library. It sits deep in the narrow valley, and about 1.5 miles away from the main lodge that used to attract tourists. It is pretty much the end of the line. No cabin survived the blaze past the library, which used to be in what could have been called the centre of this tiny town. DK was eager to drive and show off his skills. To complete his turbo autist life, his mother purchased him a Jeep Commander, complete with what must have been a 20-foot lift, enough lights to see from orbit, and a powered wrench, which I assumed was for his inevitable tumble of a cliff. This vehicle could be our transport, and if I can sit back and relax and have dinner, I don't mind being chauffeured around the county. Night 2 comes and goes. However, we end up finding that a shelving unit has absolutely moulded and needs to be trashed. DK par. I open the doors into the night, and with DK hauling this massive thing with ease, I help him load it onto the Jeep Commander. There's something a little creepy about an area ravaged by fire. There's no insects, no birds, no bats, and no deer. Once upon a time, deer would graze in the nearby meadows and create a serene, picturesque setting. Now, it felt like we were on some sort of grey moon, complete with Halloween spooky trees. As we slam the hatch closed, we start walking the crunchy gravel back towards the building. However, another noise, in this absolutely silent area, makes us turn immediately. Deep in the burned and blackened stick forest to the right, we hear a long and sad cry. It started soft, but ended with a yelp. DK and I continue to look in the direction of the noise, expecting it to continue, or at least start again. But nothing happens. Well, that sounded how I feel. Let's leave, it's late, I say to DK. DK agrees, but starts to ramble and rant about a video game. He often does when he's nervous. Honestly, I thought that sound could have been anything, and it didn't matter. My own library has its own strangeness, and at this point, I become desensitized to just about anything. We have our dark drive and peace, and after a while, I've stopped hearing about the new expansion to the video game and how badly it is, apparently. Night 3. This is a small county. There's no local law enforcement agency. The sheriff's department services this huge area, and there are only 6 deputies. Luckily, one deputy, let's call him Alex, hangs out in this small town at night. Deputy Alex creeps/flirts with an underage girl, whose parents own the lodge. I will say, it is consensual. However, he learned that I knew. And we had an agreement. I say nothing, look the other way, and in exchange, Alex doesn't notice my Volkswagen speeding by daily, going 85 to 90 miles per hour in a 55 highway on my hour commute. DK and I hit the McDonald's on the highway for dinner before we cruise into the library. As we drive the winding road, sure enough, Alex's Sheriff's Department SUV is parked out front of the lodge. We pull in front of the library and finalise the job. I set about fishing their brochures, flyers and websites. DK is now doing some deep cleaning. Halfway through the night, we hear a scraping noise. I jolt up from my daze, and DK looks over quickly to the source. The aluminium sliding on the walls next to me sounds as if something large is dragging itself against it. The sound continues, until it slows, diminishes, and suddenly disappears. Exactly like something was rubbing against it. Huh? Sounds like a deer or something needed its butt scratched, DK said with a chuckle. I laugh as well, until we hear the same thing against the wall behind me. Same pattern, same grate of stride. Faster this time. Then the wall over by DK. Huh? I say. DK grabs a stool and attempts to peer out of the tiny, small and high up windows. The front door creaks from weight. The front door. The only way in and out of the shack. The front door that is not locked. Instantly, I leap from my chair and dive for the door. I throw the lock on the handle. I back up, expecting the door to start pounding in, and the handle to be tried. But nothing. DK climbs down from the stool. Hang on. I didn't see anything, man. Do you think someone's trying to get in? Like a patron seeing out lights and thinking that we're open? Maybe, I replied. This entire county is crawling with weirdos. Let's call Alex. I trailed off, interrupted by the scraping against the first wall where the noise came from. It was faster this time. It cleared the first wall, followed by the second, in sequence. Alright, fuck this, I exclaimed. I'm gonna call Alex. See if you can see whoever the fuck is out that window. Leroy! DK begins. Please, no ma'am. Just get up there and take a peek, I said. 911 dialed. Blank, blank, County Sheriff Department, Deputy Alex speaking. What's your emergency? Alex, I say between the scraping noises, speaking loudly now to hear myself over the harsh metallic shrieks. Anon here, with the blank blank County Library District. Hey, we're over here at blank Public Library. Do you hear this? Something is outside and scraping against the sliding. It's been messing with us for a few minutes now, and we got the door locked. Can you please get over here and take a look? Though I'm creeped, I appreciate his response and professionalism. Hang tight, I'll be there in 2 minutes. Don't go near the door. I'll have my light on. We hung up. DK, see anything? No response from my chief of security. He just stared out the window. DK, do you see anything? Yeah. It's like this super tall black thing that kinda looks like the trees. Then I saw the top of something's head go by for a second. DK moans out. My palms are sweating at this point. What the fuck? Alex will be here in a second. I'm sure he'll see it and give it the business. The sound stops. We hear a siren. Red and blue lights begin to illuminate through the windows. Car door slams, crunching gravel. Flashlight beams mixed with the red and blue. The door pounds 3 times with a knock. "Anon, Deputy Alex, are you there?" "Yeah, we're here. Want me to open up?" I shout. A small pause. Yeah, we're clear out here. But, what happened here?" DK and I exit the library. Outside we see what he's seeing. The aluminium is scraped, as if it was metal on metal. Deep, light and medium gouges reflect in the light. I look down. Tracks circulating the small building are in a line. Alex looks down and shines the light. 3-toe tracks, almost like a bird. "What the fuck?" Alex asks us what we're doing. We explain. Asks us if we'd seen anyone, seen anything strange or heard anything. No, and no. Alex goes to his SUV, takes his report log, starts filing it out, and asks for my ID. The squad SUV is parked 6 feet from the building. DK's Jeep Commander is parked to the right, closer to the burned woods, about 30 feet away. As DK and I keep looking around, and Alex is making his report, we all hear it. Very close, and very loud. If you've ever seen the movie, the CGI Beowulf film with the sexy golden dragon lady, you might remember the Gendril character, and the sound he made when he heard loud noises, like this irritated whining noise. We hear something similar to that. It is accompanied by an exasperated breath and wheezing. It comes from the Jeep Commander. Alex unholsters his weapon, dropping his log papers. "You there! Hands up where I can see them!" Alex commands. In the chill of the night, steam is rising from under the Jeep. Something is breathing heavily under it. Gravel is swirling, and with the flashlight, a shadow can be seen under it. "Sheriff's Department, hands out slowly. Let me see your hands. Show me your hands now," he commands again. The gravel stops swirling. The steam sighs out from under the vehicle. Alex approaches, but only slowly. DK's Jeep Commander begins to slide to the left. A slow, dragging slide, as the vehicle was slightly lifted as well. The breathing and steam was chugging like a steam locomotive. The car alarm is now wailing. Here's this huge vehicle, being lifted and dragged from underneath, moving slowly towards the tree line. Alex was stunned at this point, weapons still pointed and drawn. We watched intently. After a few seconds, he discharged his weapon into the dirt below the Jeep Commander. The vehicle drops and ceases to move. A gangly arm grabs the step platform of the driver's side of the Jeep Commander. To me, it looked like a burnt tree, blackened with an alligator pattern. It has 3 fingers. The hand retreated as suddenly as it appeared. The vehicle tilted towards us and lifted, as a tall shadow appeared on the other side of that vehicle. Again, just like DK described, like the top of a tree, only blackened. It sprinted towards the black trees. Police lights turning and flashing red and blue, car alarm still blaring, pistol muzzle smoking. We all stood there, in shock. What happened next was your standard, "What the fuck? What was that? Did you see that?" etc., etc. The report was filed and DK and I gave our testaments. It was not made public. District manager was informed. I was questioned as well, and DK and I were both told never to speak about this unless asked by a sheriff or the district manager. Sliding was sanded down to hide the scratches. Within 2 months, the county announced we would no longer be financially supporting this branch and would no longer be a part of the county. Okay, X. I was obsessed with Goatman, Skinwalker and mimicry stories for a while, but I haven't looked in a while. And then this happened to me last night. And now I literally cannot sleep or stop shitting my pants due to its proximity to my house. Here's the background. I'm 21 and a college senior from Cincinnati. While I live in a semi-rural area, about 20 minutes to the closest supermarket / fast food, I go to school in Washington, D.C. Not the nicest part either. The part where crackheads are a real thing, and cops are reassuring rather than troublesome. I've definitely seen some shit in my day. It would be good to mention here that I'm not some glandular freak, but I'm about 6'1" and 240 pounds. A lot of muscle, but Lord knows I could drop 15 pounds. I love to smoke pot and get drunk and eat. Sue me. Being the good student that I am, I picked a real major, accounting. And I interned for a mid-sized PR firm doing accounting bitch work and getting paid $20 an hour. College is expensive as fuck though, so I deliver pizzas at night. It's a cheap, drunk food kind of pizza place that has an absurdly large delivery radius and is around 20 minutes from my house, 5 minutes from the beach. My place is north of there, and we deliver probably another 15 minutes past my house. I'm actually typing this at work between examining the fine print on our client contracts to ensure we are charging them every penny we can, cheap bastards. So basically, the further north you go from the pizza place, the more rural it gets. I work until close, and this occurs around 9:45 p.m. Be me, in the back folding pizza boxes like a good little corporate bitch. Counter girl comes back with a delivery slip. She tells me the customer sounded weird on the phone. Kind of like he was talking through a fan or through his hands, and that he was almost like gurgling. My DC experience instantly makes me think crackhead. Although, around here, it's way more likely to be some benzo freak or a painkiller addict. Automatically assuming some weird interactions will occur. Look at the address. See, it's kind of bumfuck nowhere. I'm a little mad because I don't want to drive that far, but fuck it. It's the weirdest ticket I've ever seen. The guy ordered a large pizza with anchovies, ground beef, ham, sausage, pepperoni, etc. Literally $15 worth of extras. I go ask the counter girl if it's right. She says she thinks so. She couldn't really make out what he was saying, so she said she did her best. She's like 16, so I cut her some slack. Assumed she was daydreaming and called the number back. The phone rings 5, 10, 20, 30 times. No answer. Hang up and call again. Phone goes right to. The number you have dialed does not have a voicemail box that has been set up yet. Goodbye. Manager decides to just make the pizza, as ordered, and proceed from there. I go and deliver a pizza to a hilariously obese and blackout drunk couple invited me in for drinks, but I don't drink or smoke when I work. I just hope someone else took the weird pizza. And surprise to me, no one did. It's my turn. Begrudgingly take the pizza and get in my car. Enter address into my phone. And it's on a side street adjacent to a park locals call Open Space, which, despite the name, is about 500 acres of straight woods. It's about 25 minutes away, basically the edge of our range. Put on some dubstep, judge me, and crank my turbo subby. Judge me more, out to this road. If you're not from a rural area, this can be hard to explain. Winter in the woods is scary. There is never a single sound. Ever. Unless there's something larger than a cat walking around. It's you and dead silence. Finally get to the address. There are a few houses on the street, but they sit on probably 5 acres, so they're all spaced out a fair amount. I'm looking for number 1134. I pass a 1130, then a long stretch of nothing. And then it's 1144. What the fuck? I just want to get this over with and get the next delivery out without getting stabbed by some pillhead over a fucking pizza. I call the number. Ring, stops, ringing. There's no sound, but instead of kind of like buzzing or humming, It's hooked up to my car stereo, and it's getting louder and louder, until I just hang up because I don't want to ruin my speakers. My windows are fogging up because at this point I'm pulled over between those two houses. Right when I roll the windows down, I'm overcome by the odour of decaying trash. Like driving through Newark, New Jersey. It's fucking gross. So I put the car in first and start pulling towards the next house. At the end of the driveway, there's a post with a light on top. I'm going to pull up into this house and knock and asked if maybe they gave me the wrong number over the phone. Makes sense for pillheads. I'm probably 10 feet away when I see someone step out of the darkness into the light at the bottom of the driveway. Good, it's the fucker that ordered. Expecting this guy to be all over the fucking place, leaning over and being fucked up. The guy isn't that fucked. Stop the car about 10 feet from him. Black coat that looks 3 times too big for him, even though he's probably got 5 inches on me. Don't look at him at first. Getting pizza out of the car and getting ticket and change as I talk. Hey sir, sorry about the wait and the calls. This is pretty far. No response. Realize I should be watching him, considering the signs. The smell is still pretty pungent, but I know it's not trash day. I get the pizza on the roof of my car. He's standing under the light on the opposite side of my car. So I got out of my driver's seat and went to the driver's rear to get the pizza. Put the pizza on the roof of the driver rear. Guy is probably 10 feet away from passenger's rear. I finally pay enough attention to get a good look at him. Giant, tall, no shoes, ripped up jeans, stains everywhere. Big black jacket, as mentioned. Look at his face. Sunken eyes. I can't even see the light with them. Getting really sketched out because this guy hasn't moved or said a word. Stop the process and just stare at the guy. He's just staring right at me with those freaky huge fucking eyes. His head is sort of bobbing side to side, but not in any fluid sense at all. Kind of like a car door, like how it stops at halfway open. Then you give it another shove and it stops at all the way open. I watch his head do this in no real pattern for probably 10 seconds. Starting to get really uneasy between the stench and the head thing and the eyes. And the not fucking answering. I stand frozen and so does he. Without breaking eye contact, I take my phone out of my pocket and hold it level with the roof so I can look at the guy and my phone at the same time. Go to recent calls. Call the number for the guy. Call it. Phone starts ringing, but I hear no phone anywhere. Then out of the quiet woods, I hear faintly, so faintly, a fucking cell phone ringing back in there, maybe 50 or 100 yards away. This is me kicking myself for not getting my CC yet. This is me almost shitting myself. The guy just standing there, still doing the head thing, but I swear I see that fucker smile. Finally, I get the courage to speak. Can you please come get this? Also, I think you may have dropped your phone when you were hiding a body or whatever in the woods. Nervously laugh. Still thinking maybe this guy dug too deep into the prescription bottle. Or found some PCP or some shit. I see his mouth open. Head still bobbing. Feet planted to the ground. He makes sort of a low, guttural, quick grunt. Then a high-pitched grunt. And then a low grunt again. They are sort of soft. Kinda like someone clearing their throat. I shut the rear passenger door at this point, and I'm ready to book it to the driver's seat if I got to. Just as I go to call that phone again, I hear words. The phone's not mine. The pause between the and phone's not was way too long. Phone's not literally sounded like one word. Mine came off an octave higher. My mind is in DEFCON 5, like just full panic attack. My knees are weak. I'm literally about to pass out. I push the pizza to the far side of the roof away from me. Finally, I muster out. Sir, you're freaking me the fuck out. I've got less than $20 on me. Please come take this so I can fucking leave. When I say this, the head bobbing stops. His eyes are dark and burning a hole through my fucking skull. He opens his mouth again. It was his. What? I say, stunned. It was his. The phone was his. The guy comes towards the car. Not a step, but like one huge muscle spasm that propels him forward. The phone was his. He repeats. I'm on the verge of tears at this fucking point. Standing next to open driver's side. Pizza's on the roof over passenger rear door. Guy jumps closer to me. The phone is not his anymore. I blubber wordlessly, and then gathering man balls, I scream, I'm gonna call the fucking cops and blow your fucking drug addict head off if you don't get the fuck out of here. I see this fucker smile, this creepy fucking smile, and without moving his mouth, I hear him say in a completely different voice, a voice I've never heard before. Go away, stop following me. I will call the police. One big jerk motion and the thing reaches forward, takes the pizza off the top of the car and places a couple of round things that I later identify as quarters on the roof, surrounded by dark liquid that spreads all over the roof of my car. I don't even think, I just get in the car and peel down the road. Leave the hot sleeve for the pizza. Leave the shit in the roof. Don't even close the door all the way. I go down the road at about 80 miles per hour for a quarter of a mile, then pull a U-turn because I don't want to get even more lost with the psycho here. I whip down the road, past the place where he was. Nothing. Finally get to the end of the road. There's a stop sign to merge with the main road. Look right to make sure it's clear. Look left. This thing's face is 12 inches from my own when I turn. I practically shit myself. I book it down the road. I finally make it back to the pizza place. My whole body is trembling. I smoke a joint just to calm me down, which I never do when I'm working. I walk in the front door of the pizza place. Hey, Anon, that guy at the open space house just called back. He said you forgot some food, but he only ordered the pizza, right? He said he'd come back. I don't know. I start crying. I look at my phone, which had been thrown through the car with my driving. 14 fucking missed calls from that number. Literally in tears. All the voicemails are empty, except for the last one. All I can hear is ragged breathing and those low gruntings. I'm fucking bawling my eyes out in front of this hot-ass counter girl and I don't even give a fuck. I sit there for 10 minutes and calm down. Then I remember the change in the roof. I go out to my car and turn on the flashlight. The roof of my car was covered in the most vicious, weird liquid, but it smelled like blood, and I throw up almost immediately. In the panel gap between my trunk and the end of my rear window, I find the quarters. Covered in the same maple syrup thick goop blood shit, and stuck to it are soft little chunks of what I can only imagine is tissue. I go to open my car and my blood turns to fucking ice. There's a single line of blood going from the front quarter panel to the driver's side door. The fucking thing tried to open my motherfucking door when it was next to me at the stop sign. Tactically cry and put my pants even more. I go back in. I tell the counter girl to try and call the number again. She tries over and over and over, but the phone goes right to voicemail. The next morning, I give the number to my uncle, who's a police captain a few towns over. Says the number is from a burner phone, paid in cash. Basically, untraceable, and it appeared to be off now. Safe to say I sleep with my lights on now.